Shrenik has this theory around LSD.
We have heard that's a drug for sure.
See, we've got sleeping pods and massages
मेरा
also
answer
in
था वो.
office. Right? So that just...
I strongly believe कि appraisal का जो दिन होता है, बंदा जो है जो मेहनत कर रहा है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में 364 दिन वो अपने एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए मेहनत कर रहा है, वो एक दिन एंटरप्रेन्योर को उसके लिए मेहनत कर रहा है.
Welcome to my podcast, Grow Your Influence. This is Sorav Jain, and today in this podcast, I have two amazing entrepreneurs, and they are Shrenik Gandhi and Mitesh Kothari. They are founders of this amazing digital marketing agency called White Rivers Media. It's one of those agencies that have mastered the art of movie marketing. But how did it all happen? How did they grow this agency with more than 500 plus team members? Well, these deep insights you can learn from them directly in this podcast. So let's check this out. So it's such an honor to have you on my show today. And I think I know you both since so many years now. And I've seen your growth. It's exponential. So congratulations on that. I think my journey began with meeting Mitesh in a random wedding.
Yeah.
And I told him I'm Sorav Jain, and he's like, oh, Sorav Jain from the soravjain.com who sends traffic to our site.
Thank you.
Who sends a lot of traffic to our site.
Right, and a lot of business too without
2013, 14.
2012, 13 maybe, yes.
Without earning the affiliate commission.
Absolutely. I was doing charity and I think it helped you both. But keeping jokes apart, every time Shrenik is in Chennai, I try to meet him for a few minutes.
Mysore Park is a motivation, bro.
Mysore Park is a motivation, which I forgot to carry this time, but next time for sure. But every time you're there, I meet you just to get some perspective on running agency successfully, because the energy with which you guys work with in Mumbai and the amount of experience that you carry, it's gonna definitely help a lot of people there. So today in this particular podcast, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions which is related to running an agency successfully. Are we ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get started. To begin with, can you walk me through how did the idea of starting a digital marketing agency come to you, and what's the story behind it?
Interesting. Let me actually answer this question in two parts. One, why did we start what we did? And maybe how did we both meet? I think that will answer the story aspect as well. So back in 2012, entrepreneurship is something I wanted to do. Marketing is where I did my majors in. So the subset of it was marketing entrepreneurship. Back then, digital was the next big thing. It is the current big thing now. So back then, 2012, of course, the tides were going towards digital. So the subsets were always pointing towards marketing entrepreneurship within digital ecosystem, which means starting an advertising agency, right? So that's how the idea came in of starting an agency back then. There weren't enough agencies in 2012. There were a handful of them. We thought that we can kind of make this our career, make this the biggest thing in the prime years of our career, so to say. So that's how we kind of started back in 2012. How did we both meet? Interesting story. We both have known each other since our MBA days. We were together in our college. We were so tight friends that we spoke only twice in the entire 2-year journey.
Okay.
Fun fact.
And I think both the years on the birthdays to wish each other.
Exactly. Fun fact, both of us share our birthday. तो एक साल मैंने विश किया, एक साल मितेश ने विश किया मुझे. Also क्या होता है ना, आप जब बर्थडे में किसी को सेम टू यू बोलते हो ना, हैप्पी बर्थडे बोलने में, तो वो याद रहता है. So that conversation I always remembered. But we connected post, I think almost a year after college.
Yeah, almost.
Back then again, Facebook Messenger was a thing. We spoke on Facebook Messenger. We thought that we'd catch up for a coffee. We sat for almost 6 hours, 5-6 hours. I spoke about things I want to do. He spoke about his vision, and we thought that there is natural synergy. So that's how we kind of got started working together. And it's been a wonderful story back, all these years.
Good journey. Pretty nice.
Good journey.
How many years now?
Soon to complete 12.
Wow,
Yeah.
12 years of running an agency.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of hardships and
Madness.
and the madness, yeah, of course. Partnering with each other, I always feel that when you have a business partner in an agency business especially, it helps you a lot. Because I think a lot of solo entrepreneurs or solo agency owners find this as a big challenge, because they sometimes, it just bottles up.
Yeah.
Especially the client madness and the team's madness, and there's a whole lot of expectations that people have with you.
Correct.
So how does this partnership really help you, and why is it important for someone to have a partner in an agency business?
So I strongly believe in a partnership. In entrepreneurship, it is crucially important to have a co-founder or advisor who can be a strong sounding board. Yeah, fundamentally, entrepreneurs beyond a point get lonely. Right. Because you may not know who can you express all your joys to, who can you express all your sorrows to, business sorrows to, who can you be anxious with, who can you create vision with, right? So I think having a co-founder is crucially important. If I were to give, and in the conversation, all through the conversation, I'll try and give some tangible action points, right? So, people who are seeing this could kind of take away some action line items. One of my first tangible action point for, people seeing this would be, if you're a solo entrepreneur, collaborate with someone or find a co-founder. I think if you were to talk about one of the biggest milestones or one of the biggest achievements which I would have, right, I would say honestly, is to have the right co-founder, right? And again, having the right co-founder is also very, very, very important, because if you're impatient and if you just onboard someone just for the sake of having someone on board, it might be disastrous, right? So, I'm going to say something contradicting. Find a co-founder very fast, but be very slow in closing on him, right? So that's going to be my advice to entrepreneurs who are solopreneurs, right? So what's your take, Nitesh?
See, I believe when you're taking care of a business, you're running a business, right? Every decision you make are compounding decisions. So if you have a 2-people team, it's 2x compounded. If you have a 10 people team, 100 people team, 500 people team, that's the size of compounding of every decision you make. Now, when you are in that situation, it's only human to find yourself overwhelmed at times, right? I mean, there are great businessmen, great entrepreneurs who've done it alone, but maybe they've done it alone where they've built in a team, or they've found early team members who are, kind of filling that capacity, right? But from where we both have seen, we feel that sounding board essentially is so important, where you could discuss your decisions, and someone who's on your own level that can kind of tell you things maybe other people can't, right? That alongside the complementary skill sets, right? Like today, I enjoy the fact that Shrenik and I can really do 2 different things, and there are things which I'm not good at, where I can just simply go rely on Shrenik and say that, listen, this is your ballpark, you can take it over, right? I think that is a very important reason to have a partnership. Secondly, it's a journey, right? And every entrepreneurship, every business is a journey. It's your decision, you want to be on that journey alone, or you want to have a partner in that journey, right? So I think that's how I look at it.
Fantastic. So let's dig deeper into your clients and what kind of revenues you guys make. So what was the revenue of White Rivers Media last year? How many clients do we handle, and what are some of our top clients?
Sure. So let me go one step back. In fact, let me talk about how we've grown. So, in fact, I would rather answer this question in a slightly deeper manner in terms of how has our growth been, right? So in the last 4 years, what we tried to do was, about early 2019, we did a lot of whiteboarding sessions, right? We realized that back then, that every agency would have certain star clients with which they would be known. And their campaigns would technically define the scale, popularity, etc., of the agency. We thought that we should, we wanted to kind of go one step back, and we were like, boss, let us be known by categories and not just clients, right? So like category कौन सी चुने, तो हमने सोचा यार subcultures चुनते हैं. Subcultures क्यों? As we were speaking earlier in the day as well, subcultures impact conversations, conversations impact conversions. Very simple. That's the flow. इंडिया में कुछ 5-6 subcultures है, बहुत common है. Cricket, Bollywood, religion, politics, stocks, FMCG, real estate.
Yeah,
right?
Cultures and subcultures
Correct.
go underneath this. So larger cultures and then subcultures
Correct.
inside
Okay.
them.
Up, whichever part of the country you go, you can connect to someone within this cohort, right? Politics and religion were two subcultures we wanted to stay away from. बाकी रहे ये 4, क्रिकेट, बॉलीवुड, स्टॉक्स, FMCG. आप ये चारों को जब zoom out करोगे, right? When you look at it at a macro lens, that becomes our core focus categories. So when you zoom out Bollywood, it becomes media and entertainment as a narrative. When you zoom out stocks, it becomes BFSI as a narrative. When you zoom out cricket, it becomes sports as a narrative, and of course FMCG, real estate, etc. So they became our focus verticals. Now, just to give you a perspective, we wanted to make Bollywood. I hope the longer answer is fine.
Fantastic. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. So when we speak
Bollywood.
about the first subculture, which is media and entertainment, Bollywood zoomed out to media and entertainment. We aspired to achieve dominance in the category, right? How we are doing it, the set of clients we work with in media and entertainment, right? Multiple cohorts within media and entertainment. First one being Bollywood, right? So to give you a perspective of the scale, we would have marketed close to 250 Bollywood movies in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a good 8.5 in 10 chance that any tier A or A plus Bollywood movie you see, we would be associated with the movie in some way or the other. Right? Movies, some movies we've done this year, we've done Jawan, we marketed Dunki. When I say marketed, I mean we were the digital marketing agency for these movies. Last year we did Brahmastra and movies of that scale. So that's Bollywood. Then comes OTT. We've worked across multiple OTT, worked with multiple OTT partners. We've done some work with Netflix. We marketed a few movies with them, a few shows. We've done a lot of work with Amazon Mini. We've been doing a lot of work with Woot. We've been doing with the agency on retainer with ZEE5 and Sony Live, right? And we handle not just India but global mandates as well for these OTTs, right? So together, I believe it is safe to assume that we would have marketed about 250 to 300 odd OTT shows in the last 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then comes Hollywood. We do a lot of work for English content in the country. This year we were fortunate, I would use that keyword. We were fortunate to market Oppenheimer in India. We marketed Fast 10, 2 of the top 3 Hollywood movies of this 2023. Alongside that, in the last few years, we marketed Fast 9, House of Gucci, Jurassic Park, Minions, Mario, and as we speak, we're marketing Kung Fu Panda. So movies of that scale, we kind of take care of their digital marketing mandates, and we do some fun innovation for these movies. It's honestly very, very good fun working on these movies. Next up, we do a lot of work within the music ecosystem. We work very closely with the T-Series ecosystem. We've done a lot of work with Saregama. We've been doing a lot of work with Sony Music. And in terms of the new age ecosystem, we've been doing a lot of work with JioSaavn, right? And in terms of the GEC space, we've been doing a lot of work with Sony TV and Star as well. So that's the whole media and entertainment landscape, right? Mind you, this is about 35% of our business. It might sound कि बहुत media and entertainment heavy. It is sub 35%. 65% of our business comes from brands, right? So मैंने आपको बताया category of dominance. Then we wanted to have a category of punt, right? Category of punt क्या होता है? Category of punt होता है high growth, short term high growth categories, right? जो बाकी 2 subcultures मैंने बताए, sports and BFSI. You zoom down on these 2. There are 2 categories of punt within these, right? Sports में जब आप zoom down करोगे तो fantasy gaming becomes a category of punt. आप जब stocks में zoom down करोगे तो आपको crypto as a category of punt आएगा. तो पिछले 2 साल में ना आपने देखा रहेगा कि there were quarters when they were the highest spenders in the quarter, and then these two categories
across digital landscape, right?
correct. Then these kind of mellowed down. So we wanted to have and at their highs we worked with best of the brands in both of these, like with Conscious Kuber, CoinDCX. Over here in fantasy we worked with Dream11 and whatnot, right? So that became our categories of punt, and then of course KR dominance ho gaya, punt ho gaya. Dominance se of course we got a lot of foot in the door and a lot of goodwill, name, etc. Punt gave us a lot of growth. तो ये दोनों हो गया 500 जनों की टीम है तो स्टेबिलिटी जरूरी है, राइट? सो देन hence the next two subcultures became our categories of subcultures of stability,
Okay.
right? And that's how FMCG as an ecosystem came in, where we do a lot of work with ITC, Piramal, Glen Pharma, multiple other FMCG brands. We've been doing a lot of work with Swiggy, Parle Agro. So brands like that, DS Group, right? So that's how our clientele is spread. So if you see, it would have and of course I forgot to mention B2B, right? So at White Rivers, you know, people have a huge spectrum to work on. It would be a very you know, standard vanilla B2B client listed on a NASDAQ. All the way to other end of spectrum would be a Oppenheimer, and at other end of spectrum would be a Shah Rukh Khan movie. Like
Wow.
that entire spectrum of clients to choose from to work on. So that's the kind of client spread we have.
Super. That's
Do you want to-
massive. That's massive. Almost 100 plus clients now.
150 odd clients on a
150 odd
Got
clients.
some new clients also, which we over a period of last year we added Fruity,
yeah.
which was something very nostalgic and yet very relevant to today. So it gave us a lot of joy. I think we started work with Appy some time back, then Astral Pipes and the associate businesses. In fact, there's something we did for Astral Foundation, a film for their Piplantri is a village in Rajasthan. So where every time a girl child is born, they plant trees.
Right.
It's a beautiful story. We were fortunate enough to work onto that project where we were able to do that film. And when the story came out, it made us emotional, and I think it was very well received across the country. It's something that traveled through WhatsApp groups and everything, and very well recognized in the different circles, even the government circles and
Nice.
all. Right? So that is there. Then we work with likes of TCS and other clients. So it's a very wide spectrum, as Shrenik said that, right? At the end of the day, today we are at a certain subset in terms of where the agency ecosystem is in the country. And we feel that we are continuously going out and trying to have new clients that kind of give us new opportunities, while also at the same point of time have clients that have been with us for years and kind of keep building on to what they require and how their businesses can grow.
How did you grow to 450 plus team members? I see the massive growth has happened post-COVID, significant growth out there. And 450 plus team members. So I'm sure there's a lot of cultural shift that we would have got into place. So what were those modifications that we did in the organization to handle such big growth of people?
Yeah.
And I see that White Rivers Media have also become people first now, right? Which wasn't the case earlier.
Correct.
Yeah.
So so how did we pivot there? And what did we do in that case to make it to 450 plus?
Yeah, in our minds, we were always people first.
Okay.
We realized there has to be, you know, conscious and subconscious actions to walk the path, right? So I think while of course I spoke about the entire client mix and multiple other things which form a part of business strategy, and I would throw a jargon phrase over here, which says culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? आप क्या करोगे स्ट्रैटेजी का अगर आपका कल्चर ठीक नहीं है? लाइक मैं क्या करूँगा 100-150 क्लाइंट का अगर लोग जो शाम को घर पे निकल रहे हैं खुश होके नहीं निकल रहे, राइट? सो फॉर मी एंड मितेश, it was more important to build a happy place to work, right? So that is what we kind of put in a lot of energy, effort, time, energy, money, effort, whatever, all of that in the last 3-4 years. We've hired, like we, you know, internally promoted multiple people and onboarded some experts in our people and culture team. Cut to tangible action point number 2. Focus on building a strong people and culture team. People and culture is going to be as important as business development, and a few other things which I'll speak of course. So as a tangible action point, if your people and culture team isn't strong enough, I think that is one of the first teams you got to build, because business aa jayega. There is enough and more business in the market. Culture first organizations come in, right? Coming back, so yeah, we put in a lot of efforts in building this people and culture first team. While of course there are 100 activities we did and 100 culture driven principles we adopted, I think one very important culture principle we adopted, and to begin with, it was Mitesh, me, the founding team, all of us kind of implemented it, was we aspire to be the most. Most bante bante, best ban gaya, it's a great byproduct.
Okay.
But best banna chase nahi karenge. Most hona chase karenge. There's a very thin line of difference, right? When you say कि आपको most बनना है, मतलब example, मैं बताऊँ कि यार सौरभ को इंडिया का best podcast बनना है, that means Sorav has to fight an unknown. There could be podcast A, B, C, D, which Sorav may or may not be aware of.
Yeah.
Right? And he has to fight an unknown. And when you have to fight an unknown, it leads to a lot of pressures, mental health, and multiple other issues. Right? And hence, it's a fight of unknown, which may or may not be nice. But what Sorav can always say is कि यार मैं अपना best बनूंगा, मैं अपना most बनूंगा. सौरभ अपना most बनते बनते best बन गया तो great. नहीं बना तो यार ठीक है यार, it's a great effort. So that is one strong culture philosophy we adopted. कि boss, we are going to chase to be the most. We are not going to chase to be the best. The aspiration is to do the most you can.
Okay.
So that is one strong culture principle we adopted.
Nice. That's a great principle to have. In a digital marketing agency, what are some 3 factors that you think make employees really happy?
Employees really happy. Right. So I can't comment about full digital marketing agency, but at WRM, I'll tell you what, I think 3 things that have been very important to us that we took care to build is, one is opportunity, second is environment, and what it leads to is culture, right? These 3 parameters kind of create a space where people will be happy. See, we work in an industry where a certain amount of pressure is high, always high, right? And it's not me saying, it's a global research saying that it is one of those industries where the pressure is high, right? And yet you would want to be part of it because there's a certain charm and love around advertising, right? But as an agency founder, as an agency, your responsibility goes on to create around possibly these 3 factors and more, obviously, but just the question is 3, right? Can you create a space where opportunities are abundant, right? Can you create a space where, hey, if I don't vibe with one thing, can I get another thing? Yeah. Can you create a space which recognizes that I have a talent, but that talent is not fitting this role? Could you divert me towards another role where my talent would be well used, right? And there are some amazing examples of this at WRM, right? There are people that came in to do X and are now leading a team which is Y, right? And there was a space where they were dejected, we were dejected, saying this is not working. And then we went back, and the favorite example that I know Shainik says is that, you got to learn which one can swim and which one can climb the tree, right? So if you want to give them the opposite jobs, it's never going to work out, right? So I think that is something that we took care and we built that space, saying opportunity is going to be abundant, and that's going to keep people happy because they see their growth coming in, right? Now the second thing is, what you create is the environment. When you create the right environment, it's going to lead to a right kind of a culture. So environment is something, when you asked even the last time saying, how did the growth 450, 550 plus people, right? It's actually also a very personal thing. There was a pivotal moment in our lives when we realized that we're not out to build a business, we're out to build an organization. When that realization dawns upon the founders, right? It is like in a normal work-life scenario, I always say that a key pivotal moment for any person is when they learn delegation. there is this big chasm where a lot of people fall down because they're not able to learn how to delegate right? When you're on the other side of it, then you're ready for a higher management opportunity. Similarly, on a founder side, I believe that there are these pivotal moments for you to understand that there's a difference between a business and an organization. A business could be a self-running entity which makes profit, which Marwadis, Gujaratis are brought up to kind of, build at the end of the day, right? We've seen that, we've been part of those family dinner conversations and things like that. But then the organization is a different beast altogether. Organization needs processes, setups, people in right places, delegations, automations for that matter, as Rishi, you and I were talking about it, right? So that pivotal piece, when it came, we realized what we needed to do, and we went out to build an environment that's going to be conducive for opportunities, for growth, for bringing in more revenue, for business, for people, and then happiness and everything else will come with it, right? Also, obviously, it needs the founders or the team that is at the helm, their heart to be in the right place.
Right.
That's one point that is not debatable, right?
Yeah.
Every morning when we wake up, or every decision that we make, right? The centerpiece is it good for WRM? Is it good for our teams? Is it good for our people? Right? That's actually the most important qualifying factor for most of the things that we do throughout the day. And then you finally come to the third place out of that environment is, what is your culture, right? What is it that the people see around, people see top down, people see every place else essentially, and they learn to adapt that, oh, this is the culture of this place. Now, if the culture of the place brings joy, you will automatically be happy.
Right.
But if the culture of the place cannot bring that joy, you're always on your edge, right? Oh, if I take one step wrong, and this is gonna happen, right? You cannot be happy in a scenario like that.
Beautiful.
Right?
Good thought there.
So I think those are the three things, and obviously, there are aspects. In fact, Shrenik has this theory around LSD. You should be asking him that.
What is LSD? I've heard that's a drug for sure. But what's LSD at WRM?
Shrenik is high on LSD, but which LSD he's gonna narrate it across.
I wonder what kind of a cliffhanger Insta story would this be?
So the question is, the LSD drug in your business, what's that?
Yeah, I feel drug is very negative. So on a serious note, so I think, so by the way, LSD, clarification, LSD means Lakshmi, Saraswati and Durga.
Oh my God, then I think I'm sorry about saying that as LSD drug. So
yeah.
Tell me the concept of Lakshmi, Saraswati, Durga in your business.
Yeah, so I strongly feel for any individual, right? I think these are the three things which are crucially important for growth. Let's break it down, right? Let's first theoretically answer what it means. Lakshmi, goddess of wealth. Saraswati, goddess of learning, goddess of knowledge. Durga is goddess of respect. I believe, say example, अगर एक बंदा organization में 1000 दिन दे रहा है, तो there will be certain days where Lakshmi is of prime importance to that person. There will be certain days where Saraswati would be of prime importance to that person, and then there will be certain days where Durga is of prime importance to that person. As an entrepreneur, we have to find what is the mind space of the organization and of the individual, and marry both and give the right thing.
So you mean to say money is important sometimes, respect is important sometimes,
Correct.
and learning is important
Correct.
sometimes.
Correct.
Okay.
Example.
I mean, all three are there, but it's like P1, P2, P3,
yes.
depending on that time.
हाँ, वो टाइम पे P1 क्या है, right? Example, अगर मेरे पास एक बंदा आया appraisal के लिए, और मैं उसको बोलूँ कि नहीं पैसा नहीं, तू तो knowledge ले, it may not fly as much, but बंदे का appraisal खत्म होते ही मैंने उसको respect दिया, and after a point उसको काफी knowledge दिया, उसको empower किया अपने next appraisal के लिए, ताकि उसको better लक्ष्मी मिले, right?
Yeah.
So one has to realize that, as an entrepreneur, we have to give the right form of Lakshmi, Saraswati and Durga to the employees at the right time.
And somewhere they all three have to be present in the organization.
Correct.
Right.
If the organization is only about Lakshmi, that person is replaceable by someone else who pays more Lakshmi.
Right.
right? If the organization is all about learning, for sure he will go away to someone who gives slight Durga and slight Lakshmi.
Right.
So the right mix of these three, I believe, help a young person flourish.
Fantastic. What systems have you built to define the appraisal system inside your company?
Good question. Yeah. So I'll answer this question in two forms. First,
it is something that we spend humongous amount of time
exactly,
of
and that's why
lately.
two parts. Answer one is what we had about 3 years back,
Yeah.
and where we are right now. What we had 3 years back was
365th day.
नहीं वो अभी भी है. I think what we had 3-4 years back was a strategy of time disaster for founders, wherein anyone who completes 365 days in the organization, on 366th day the person is eligible for an appraisal. I don't believe in defining appraisal with a month, right? I believe आपने अगर 1 साल दिया है कंपनी को तो आपका ग्रोथ होना चाहिए, right? Not necessary कि कंपनी के particular month के हिसाब से होए, right? So that was the case earlier कि every 366 day and within 10 days of that we would talk appraisal. What happened 3-4 साल पहले is कि यार हम 100 के ऊपर बढ़ रहे थे, and what happened because of that is every single day Mitesh or me would be busy in 1 or 2 such conversations, which used to eat up a lot of our time. Again, I'm in no way telling that it is not worth the time, but then it used to be so long, so at times not as productive as business, and hence it used to eat up a lot of time. So what we did, and again, here's why having a strong people and culture team is important. I think the entire people and culture team came up with this whole initiative where we categorized it, right? Again, now I'm dividing this answer into 2 points. First one, what we did was we broke it down into quarters, right? So people who have completed their 365 days in the quarter of Jan, Feb, March would be appraised in Jan, Feb, March. People who have completed their 366 days, say example on August 15, तो उसको मैं Jazz quarter में appraisal दूंगा for the entire year. Now, years where having a strong feedback forum is important. हमने क्या किया था? January, February, March के appraisal हम March में देते थे. April, May, June के appraisals हम June में conversation करते थे. Now what happened is, we had 4 or 5 cases जिनके ये साल खत्म हुए, say example 31st of earlier month में. Now what would happen because of this is उनका appraisal 3 महीने delay हो जाता है.
Right.
And we realized 2-3-4 महीने चला, and we realized we started asking people, and we realized this is a simple stupid problem. Stupid not on their part, on our part, कि यार we missed out on this. तो हमने क्या किया, जो हम पहले JFM के appraisals मार्च में करते थे, हमने एक बहुत सिंपल चीज कर दी. JFM के appraisals जैन में करना चालू कर दिया. हमें तो appraisal देने ही है. Might as well हमें क्या करना है कि यार किसी का March 31st को appraisal है, उसका जैन पे हो जाएगा, valid from a March होगा, right? Anyways वो conversation लंबे चलते हैं तो mid Feb तक चलते हैं. तो उस हिसाब से we kind of revamped the process where so we are taking basically best of both worlds. आपके जो annual appraisals है उसके best practices ले रहे हैं, 366 डे के बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस लेके हमने कंबाइन नया सिस्टम बनाया फिर साल में 4 बार हम 10-10 दिन के लिए अप्रेजल कन्वर्सेशंस करेंगे. तो जो पहले मितेश और मेरे 365 दिन जाते थे अप्रेजल कन्वर्सेशंस में, बिकॉज ऑफ दिस वन इनिशिएटिव ऑफ पीपल एंड कल्चर टीम गॉट कंप्लीटली combined, completely crunched into 40 days, which gave us the gift of time.
Nice.
And gave the gift of clarity to a lot of people.
Fantastic. Now, this is from a time perspective.
Yeah.
So, do you track KPIs?
Yes.
How do you evaluate the performance? I think you guys have stabilized a lot there.
Correct.
So, would you like to share some insights on that per se?
See, what we've done is, I think we've gone through very elaborate people and culture exercise to come back with processes and way things should ideally function, right? And we've defined our own North Star, saying this is where we want to be, and now all of our efforts are in that direction to reach to that North Star, right? And a big part of that North Star again is setting up, so how you go about with it is, essentially you set up a certain band of people saying, okay, you are in this band as a part of structure here, right? These are your clear KPIs that you would be kind of being looked at, right? Now, wherever you are in the system, depending on the hierarchy, there is a responsible manager essentially for you,
Right.
who are supposed to have a conversation with you and also have KPI clarities with you and also have directional meetings with you every now and then to kind of bring you back across into the direction that is ideally expected, and also understand that what is it that you want to do. So when you have that fact check that is already happening on the basis of KPI on a very regular basis, you also have a feedback mechanism that is essentially flowing directly between the person and the PNC teams, people and culture teams also side by side, right? And when you come through all of this process, PNC is already giving you a good understanding that this is when you finish your year, this is when the appraisal kicks in, these would be the factors that we would want to have a conversation with, this is what we look as the future next year for across for you. We also hear from people saying, what is it that you want to achieve, what is it that you want to learn, is there something different that you want to try internally, is there any other part of the process that you want to pick up and you want to do, right? And then finally it flows to a team head, and in certain cases to Shrenik and Mitesh essentially when the appraisal comes in, right? So as I said, right, between business and organization, I think that's the bridge we ourselves are trying to cover up across. And we're very, like I'll reiterate what Shrenik said, that it is extremely important from a narrative of an entrepreneur that get a very strong people and culture team in place.
Nice. And that's why you guys hired a 40 years old CHRO
Yes.
who's older than you.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
To guide you in a better way.
So we've got someone who's a CHRO older than us.
It's a running joke that his total years of experience are more than average age of office.
Yeah.
Like our average age of office is what, 20 to 23,
Yeah.
that's 24 years of experience.
Right. So he's the guy with the most white hair we have. And an absolute joy. I think that decision was a very key decision in our journey.
Yeah.
Because till that time, technically we were the lead on everything, and we used to call it HR, right? So we were the lead on human resource piece, right? Bringing the CHRO was a very pivotal moment in our journey, because before that we were the lead on everything people. In fact, it was called HR as it is called half the places, right, till today. And the first thing when we met him, in his 40s, 24 years of experience, not very old, not very young, right fit for an organization like us, because the trajectory that we are on and where we want to reach, we feel that we need someone with a certain years of experience, but it cannot be a person who does not understand this industry or this business, right? Good for us, lucky for us, he had a very good experience set from the past. And then what we were looking for was having someone who is a real authority on that subject, right? Someone who's done it, lived it, breathed it, and has been successful around it. Because at the end of the day, it is a difficult task to make a founder sit down, forget two, right? And kind of drive them in a certain direction, right? Which at times would not be the most profitable decision tactically, right? In terms of monetary value, but it could be more profitable decision from a people and culture narrative and strategically for the organization, right? So bringing a CHRO completely changed, because we had someone who's running the point on that whole thing, someone whose core job now is to make sure that the three things that we spoke about in terms of culture, in terms of environment, in terms of opportunities, in terms of setting up the processes, listening to people, making sense of it, making pillets out of it, that's something that we both could understand and quickly give our decisions on, has been extremely game changer for us.
Fantastic. You know, the reason why I asked you this question, because most agencies possibly have a very young HR.
Yeah.
And then they follow the terms that the CEOs or CMOs or CXOs discuss. Right. And then they don't bring in the experience which is needed, right? I think this is a very smart win, I would say, that the organization has gotten in the last few years.
In fact, I want to speak about a tangible action point when we spoke about appraisals. And again, as entrepreneurs, we follow that. Fundamentally, I strongly believe कि appraisal का जो दिन होता है, बंदा जो है जो मेहनत कर रहा है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में 364 दिन वो अपने एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए मेहनत कर रहा है, वो एक दिन एंटरप्रेन्योर को उसके लिए मेहनत करनी है. Like if entrepreneurs, especially digital marketing entrepreneurs, put in this as a narrative, right, amongst themselves and in their core team, there'll be a lot more joy in the industry.
Nice.
So
I think that's a very beautiful thought there. Okay, on a very quick note, all right, because we're just talking about cultures. What are few factors that you believe has made your employees happy? On a quick note, for example, like let's say he said we have breakfast in the morning for the team. So multiple factors like that. What are some few factors that you believe is in favor of employees to make them happy?
All right. I think, Sorav, we'll answer this very tactically. We'll tell you things that are very visible or that are there out there in the office, right? So let's start with something which is trophy tradition. I told you we've won 200 awards in the last year. Does not mean that all the people across in WRM would have touched those trophies, right? Or would have gone onto the stage and got those trophies. We created a tradition in our town halls where we call people across teams that have worked on the project or are part of belonging to different teams, and they all actually have a walk of fame with the trophies, right? So you got one.
It's a big celebration. Like there is
it's a huge
and
thing.
Whatnot.
Like we've got doles and things like that also in the past, and it's something that people really enjoy. I think moving on to the real, as I said, tactical stuff. We've got sleeping pods and massages also in office, right? So that just brings a lot of joy.
Did you say massage chairs or masseurs?
We've got
both.
foot
Actually,
massages and massages.
Yeah.
Right.
During IPL, so IPL and Diwali are two of our strongest or the most hectic times. So we've had this in past where we've actually called masseurs, and we've kind of lined up the masseurs for people working round the clock.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's a lot of fun, right? And
masseurs at the workplace is so a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's actually good. It brings a lot of joy and just eases out the stress overall, right? We also get therapy dogs in office, right? Huh. So there are days when there would be a bunch of dogs coming inside the office. We also have a bring your pet policy. Yeah. So you're free to bring your own pet to office, right? And that again makes it really joyful. At the same point of time, we have paternity leave, as we like to say. So if you have pets and you need to take them to doctor, you want to have a day with them and all, those leaves are there. We don't have sandwich leave policy, right? So there are these multitudes of things on a tactical level. Wow. See, strategic things are all behind the doors, right? Those are the processes that we are setting up to kind of bring in. But these are smallest of things.
Makes no sense if it is not put to action.
True.
Right. I remember about 1.5 years back when we did our people and culture town hall, we literally increased our leave bank to 50%. We have like 45, if I'm not wrong, 45 odd leaves every year, other than weekends. So that's.
I'm sure your employee handbook should be so interesting. So if you're watching this and you want the employee handbook, just comment handbook and I'll try to figure out to share the link with you.
Done?
Yeah.
Yes,
that's good.
Yes,
fantastic. I think there's some lot of learnings here. You know, the reason why I'm digging deep into this culture, because I think there's a lot of this is very important because we run people first organization.
Correct.
Our organization is all about people, and if we don't build cultures like these, we miss out on keeping them happy. And if they are not happy, then our clients are not going to be happy.
Correct.
That's basically how it all works.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into this aspect of becoming the king of the industry in the Bollywood space, I would say. White Rivers Media has promoted more than 300 to 400 Hollywood and Bollywood movies.
Hollywood begin hota,
300 to 400 Hollywood and Bollywood movies in the space of digital since 2019. How do you specialize in movie marketing as a niche? Like why this niche?
So, honestly, we, like I said, subcultures is what we wanted to target, and we realized not just Bollywood. I think film industry transcends boundaries, and it helps us with a lot more foot in the door than one can imagine. Like example, मैंने अगर कोई one of the Khans के लिए कोई बड़ी campaign की है, right? Yeah, one of the Khans के लिए मैंने एक छोटी campaign की है versus we spending say about ₹1 crore on a B2B brand, या even a B2C brand. मेरी वो छोटी खान वाली campaign ज़्यादा travel करेगी versus the conversations happening around the B2C brand larger campaign, right? So that the entire Bollywood narrative helps us with foot in the door way beyond one can imagine, way beyond we could imagine even midway into the whole Bollywood process, right? Just to give you an example, our scale in Bollywood was one of our top reasons to grow our influencer ecosystem, right? I'll tell you why. 4 साल पहले जब हमने बॉलीवुड की जर्नी शुरू की थी, we didn't think कि इसमें कुछ collateral advantages होंगे. One of the collateral advantages this. आप इंडिया के कोई भी इन्फ्लुएंसर के बारे में सोचो, फूड, फैशन, ट्रैवल, लाइफस्टाइल, एनी इन्फ्लुएंसर, not 99 but 100% of them have an aspiration to either collaborate or be a part of Bollywood or OTT ecosystem. We become a golden gateway for them. बराबर है? Once that happens, right, we kind of facilitate things for them which generally money can't buy. And once that happens, the relationships we develop with these influencers is priceless, right? Is much, much, much beyond work. And once that happens, when we take work to them, the conversations with them become so seamless, right? The value which we get back from them is so unreal, right? That growth is only natural in the influencer ecosystem. So that became a big advantage of doing Bollywood.
I think. Sorry.
No, continue. Sorry.
I think when you asked why, right? See, one of the things you need to understand is that we all have grown up on movies.
Of course, yes.
I think our being today, as to who we are, how we are perceived and how we perceive ourselves, is so impacted by that complete ecosystem of the stories you've seen on a larger screen or on the mobile phones today, that it's so deeply ingrained, right? It's not Bollywood, it's the movie industry, any state, any geography, that is what it is there across the country, right? So I think we both also came from that how much we love that storytelling aspect, how impactful it is, how important it is, right? And obviously when you look at at least the Hindi speaking movie industry, the gateway is Mumbai, right? And if you're present here, then you have an opportunity to possibly get in and do something in that industry.
Also, it's very lucrative results wise, right? It's very happening, I would say.
It is very happening. It is very dynamic.
Yeah.
Right? No 2 days or no 2 hours are also same to each other.
True.
Every project is a new project in a new way that you develop, right? So it's an amazing amount of excitement which actually keeps us going. That's the fuel to what we are doing, because the team that we've been able to develop, the team that actually looks over this business, every one of them lives and breathes these stories. They're actually in it for their love and passion. They're not in it for what is the money outcome that is coming out of it, right? When I said the 3 things, I mentioned to you opportunity. What Shainik and I meant is that we created that ecosystem of opportunity.
Beautiful.
And we created a win-win ecosystem.
Sure.
We created an ecosystem where WRM team wins. We created an ecosystem where our partners that we work with win. We created an ecosystem for content creators essentially also to take part in, and they also win. Right? So I think that formula of understanding multiple facets and how could you activate all of them together in an industry which is, while entertaining, tiring also, right? It takes 24/7 effort to kind of go into it and do things into it. Because when you see the nature, this is not long-term strategic business. A shelf life of a movie in a theatrical window, release window, is this. It starts and it ends here, right? So your effort are all burst efforts, right? It's not a long-term one year, 2 year, 5 year view that you want to take on any one of them. So that takes a lot of energy, but it provides a lot of thrill. So when you understand that ecosystem, and then you could design your way the organization or a part of the organization functions for that ecosystem, you're able to scale it up. I think
Nice.
that's what we've created.
Beautiful. In movies, digital marketing, if I have to decode it, what are some of the factors or step-by-step process there?
Interesting question. So, and again, I'm going to give you an answer which is slightly non-conventional. I strongly believe 75 or 80% of movie marketing we do, or anyone in the country does, is B2B. Just 20-25% is B2C.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, which was the last movie you saw?
12th fail.
12th fail.
I think
OTT पे देखा?
which is
Yeah,
marketed
we
by you
marketed
guys.
the movie
Wow.
on. Yeah. आपने OTT पे देखा theater में?
I could not get time for in the theaters. I
Which
watched
was
it
the
in
last movie you saw in theaters?
Animal.
Animal. Assuming you would have seen it on a weekend, say example you saw it on a Sunday. When did you make the plan to watch the movie?
Just that morning.
Exactly. Right, now let me go back to the whole marketing process and I'll break down the whole movie marketing journey. It starts with trailer, then first look launch, trailer, teaser, trailer, song 1, song 2, dialogue 1, dialogue 2 promo. All of this combined with a few activities here and there, some city visits, etc. All packed into 5 power packed weeks or 3 और अभी तो 2 week 3 week की movie campaigns होने लगी. ये सबको 3 और 5 हफ्ते के बीच में बांटेंगे and then it is sold to the audience. But audience को बेचने के पहले a large portion of movie marketing is for the B2B ecosystem, which is the distributors, cinema owners and people who buy the rights of the movie, right? A lot of perception setting of movie industry is for them, right? तो हम जब trailer करते हैं, right? तो कई सारे trailer in a lot of trailers we would say do campaigns for the 50 million, 100 million views in a day. Now why would Sorav care about Animal? How many views did Animal did in day 1? I would decide. No one cares a damn, right? But who care is the B2B ecosystem. B2B ecosystem cares about the fact that how much was a particular movie loved on day 1 of the trailer launch. Basis the scale it garnered in terms of love, which is translated into views, price of distribution or profit share of distribution is decided. Negotiations are done with cinema owners. Negotiations are done with larger chains. Basis the initial campaign of the movie in terms of the word of mouth about the movie. And hence, a large portion of marketing of the movie is for the B2B audience and not for B2C audience. Right? It is curated for the B2B audience.
Right.
I think the last leg is B2C.
Yeah.
The rest you see, then how FMCG business is, right? There's a large chunk of distribution system and you need to first appease distributors, make them believe that the product will travel and it deserves the shelf space.
Okay.
Correct.
Right? Similar is movie business where you have to first do certain things for different stakeholders, making them understand that it deserves that shelf space or this attention or screen space and things like that, right? Once that whole thing is over, and this is not something you or me as a viewer will ever be privy to, right? Once that piece is done, only then you move to the B2C side of the marketing, which is what is visible to across to all of us.
Makes sense. So promoting box office numbers, is that part of your strategy?
Yeah.
Promoting it across the networks on the internet.
Absolutely.
And you think that impacts a lot in decision making for people?
It does. In fact, it also impacts a star's next movie price.
Right.
It would affect, in our language we call celebrity as talent, right? The BOC numbers, box office collection numbers, which happens directly impacts talent's next movie sign up fees, right? Or it affects next producer's signing up fees of a talent.
Right.
I mean, on that project also, sort of, let's say, I'll give you an example, right? I come to your YouTube channel, I come to your Instagram, wherever. I have time to watch one video, all right? You've listed 5 videos, right? 4 videos have 10K views. One video has 3.6 million views. Now, what do you think will I watch?
Of course, it is 1.6 million views.
right? That's your box office number.
Right.
So your box office number convinced me to watch that video. That's the same. It works in this way also.
Good explanation there. Okay, so in the last year, what's been your favorite campaign which you believe White Rivers Media has executed?
Yeah.
Each one of you can just talk about it for a minute.
Yeah,
Sure.
so I'll speak about, because I was sure you would speak about the same one, so I'll take this answer. Piplantri, one of my favorite campaign. Piplantri is a project by Astral Group. Mitesh spoke about this campaign sometime back.
Astral's foundation,
Astral,
CSR
yeah.
foundation.
Correct. Astral is a public listed company. Astral is into multiple businesses. They are into pipes. They are into bathware. They're into multiple other things. One interesting thing they have is Astral Foundation, which is a give back initiative. And within this initiative, they identified a village called Piplantri. It's a beautiful story of a village where in Rajasthan, every girl child birth which happens, the sarpanch of the village would plant 111 trees. And how that practice has changed the whole village's life and lifestyle and natural conditions forever, right? So we kind of curated a whole ad film around that, and that ad film was one of the most viral ad films by a CSR foundation in the last year. In fact, it was shared by a lot of government officials, including people in power. It was shared by a lot of business leaders in power, and of course, all of this was organic. And it garnered a lot of love. It garnered a lot of love towards Piplantri as a village.
Wow.
And we're very happy with it.
Perfect. Let's watch that one.
बेटी हुई है हटो हटो क्या हो रहा है इधर ये किधर लेके जा रहे बच्ची को
बेटा अटे जब छोरियां पैदा होवे ना तो हम घने पेड़ लगाते हैं क्योंकि पेड़ों की छांव और बेटियों से लगाव यही पिपलांतरी की पहचान है।
होवे तुझसे घनी छावी रे लावे बरखा मेरे गावी रे भारो ये जीवन खिल खिल मुस्कावे पड़ते ही तेरे पावी रे।
How about you?
I think I'll not pick out a single project. I'll pick out something on a different scale. Is something that we did in the influencer and the creator space, right? I think 2023 was brilliant when it comes to us breaking a certain kind of a boundary. We invited the Quick Style group, which is the Norwegian dance group. They shot to fame with Kala Chashma dance. And we also hosted iShow Speed, who's one of the top gaming streamers, right? I think the kind of work that we did, bringing them to the country, bringing brands in the same mix, right, was something which is not a set formula till now, because you're getting an international creator, right, whose audience base is not 100% Indian, for that matter, right? You're bringing that kind of a creator here to the country, and you're doing something which is relevant to the culture of this country, traditionally, right, and also banking on the audience's understanding. So we've been very fortunate to bring some crazy brands and these crazy creators on the same space and see the results of it, right? In fact, I believe Quickstyle did a piece in the Mumbai local train, essentially, where both speakers were spotted, and Aman Gupta also kind of commented onto the piece and everything. Went absolutely viral, berserk viral.
About 100 million organic
100
views.
million organic
Beautiful.
views, yeah, berserk, right? And that proves that if you have the right creator and the right brand and there is an understanding that what needs to be done, and that understanding brings out a result that is culturally relevant, then it's gonna fly, right? And we've seen that time and again with this mix that we've created in the last year. And I think that has brought me a lot of joy in terms of seeing how that is progressing.
I think fairly, really good ones. Like I've seen that we've been bringing a lot of international influencers in India, and they've been collaborating with a lot of Indian brands and Indian influencers too, which is like a win-win for them.
Absolutely.
And also a win-win for you both, because they get to have an opportunity to collaborate with them, which is unlikely to happen on their own.
Yeah.
So it gives an added advantage of having all the influencers associated with you in this process. So I think that's a very smart move. But how did that idea come into your mind?
Yeah, so we were having a conversation. I was always on the lookout of, when I say, of course, it's both of us. We were always on the lookout for talent to scout for upcoming brand campaigns, and we are always on a lookout for upcoming talent. Right. I remember Quickstyle had just broken the internet with Kala Chashma, and since the day it got viral, we were in touch with them. That was a year before they came.
Yeah.
Right, almost a year before they first landed in the country. Right, so we had to nurture the relation.
Like it took 1 year in making also.
Yeah.
For it to, like, for anybody listening, they would feel, oh, this is what you did. But the behind the scenes story is that him putting his personal time also in understanding, talking to them, understanding, and also analyzing, I think, for a whole year that, is this relevant? Is this something that's going to fly? Because till the time we did it, and I think we also did it with Khabby and Dream 11.
Yeah.
Previously, Khabby being one of the largest creator in the world, right? He's only worked in India twice and both has been with us. So it took his learning, understanding, and the bet, saying, will this work? This is not a formula that anyone has ever done before in its own sense, right? Bringing a movie star into, back in the day, I think Micromax got Hugh Jackman as a brand ambassador, but that's a different piece altogether. Out here, you're bringing an international creator with not being from this geography, and saying that it's going to make sense for an Indian brand. So I think it took almost a year for you, right?
Yeah, but we joke a lot of times that it might seem like a breakout campaign of the year. 6 घंटे में, a few dozen million views aa chuke and all of that. But for those right 6 hours, 1 year of efforts had gone before that. So it is a lot of, toil. Having said that, the need gap is very simple. Think of any top international influencer who does not speak in their local language, who speaks English or doesn't speak at all in, khabby in this case, right? Very highly possible that Indian audience or reach in India would be rank 2 or rank 3 in their analytics, or maybe rank 1 in most cases. Right. In fact, yesterday we met this Japanese influencer. One of the most viral Japanese influencer doesn't understand English, but 90% of his followers are Indian. Right. He was in office yesterday. So that Indians love to consume content. Indians love to explore content from across the world, and suddenly we are being noticed by people on the other side that India as a country is where a lot of consumption is coming from, right? So that being point 1. Point 2 being the whole narrative around India. There's a lot of positive narrative around India right now globally, right? So international influencers have been hearing some good things about India, and they are wanting to come to India, right? So ye do establish ho gaye statements. Now the third very important thing, in their minds, India is 3 things. right? And again, I'm broadly classifying. Again, of course, there could be many others, but there are three things which, in their mind, India is. In their minds, India is cricket, Bollywood, Narendra Modi.
Wow, Narendra Modi, that's cool.
Absolutely,
Yeah, I
and
think
of course, he's
it's
a
a
leader loved by
global-
the world.
It's a global brand image
Yeah.
that is curated, and it does well for the country in that sense.
Wow.
So in the minds of these international curators, now for one, sort of think of yourself as a creator from the United States, right? Who gets a lot of traffic from India, who's been hearing a lot of good things about India, and here comes an agency who's working with two of the three things he's heard about,
True.
right? You would of course love to have a conversation at least.
I always say this. In fact, I've commented on one of Narendra Modi's posts that he's one of the best marketers in the world.
Absolutely.
Right? I think.
Hands down.
Yeah. What does a White Rivers Media digital marketing pitch look like? What goes in that winning presentation? How are we different?
And I think this answer Mitesh would do because I'm not a storyteller. I'm a business guy. Mitesh does all the talking. So
Yeah. I think we have approached in a very Gujarati Marwadi way, right? Very Gujarati Marwadi way. What is the job of the agency, right? You're supposed to be a problem solver, right? So the core thing that we really work very hard on is understanding what actually is the problem. In fact, in the very recent times, at the cost of sounding, in a certain fashion, we've actually not taken part in some pitches because we were not able to understand the business problem, right? We were not sure that, is this the problem? Why is this being asked of us, right? And we've always gone back on the table where if you are the business giving us a pitch, right, we're going to sit down, we're going to understand. And the problem cannot be, we're looking at a new partner. That's not a problem that why you need us, right? So help us understand your business, help us understand the problem. Once we understand that, I think a very key distinction, at least in our heads, or our area of focus, forget distinction, but our area of focus is a extremely thorough research and planning around it.
Yeah.
Understanding the industry, understanding the business, understanding the product, understanding the category, understanding the trend, consumer audience insights, right? Now, this might just seem saying, okay, these are apparent things or non-apparent things or whatever, but this part of taking the effort to do that kind of a research, distill it, make sense out of it, is something that lays the foundation for what is that creatively you're going to do to solve this business problem, right? So you get the problem, understand the problem, understand the ecosystem environment, distill it, get your insights, let your insights be the foundation to the creative solutions to the problem, right? When this whole process works right, you're going to either secure the business today or you'll secure the business 1 year down the line, but you'll secure it, right? This alongside our team's very keen understanding of cultures, popular cultures, subcultures, understanding of the platforms, right? Today, if you're a digital first, do you really understand what are the trends with this platform right now? So if I understand the audience, I understand the problem, I have my creative solution, which already intakes what's going to work on the platform essentially, and it will work because it is related to this culture, right? And that is why it's going to be well received. Then it's automatically going to fly from there, right? Like it's most likely to fly. At least you've given the best that you could do. I think that's what our pitch looks like here.
Smart.
and we don't get into price wars. We are very sure that if conversation, if a client pitch is going to be converted basis the final cost and not basis qualitative
Cost is the only
conversations,
parameter.
we would not get into that pitch,
Okay.
right? We are above average in cost, but worth it.
So how much what's our average retainer at?
So again, it depends on the scale of work, but I would say about anything between a 7 and 10 lakh rupees a month in terms of absolute traditional social media kind of an activity is what we love to charge. Roughly translates to about 1 crore rupees a year in terms of fees, right? I think clients would see justice if they kind of put in 3.54x of that in terms of media spends, right? That is when good magic can happen.
So that's your retainer fee for handling social media marketing
Correct.
for clients.
Social comms, strategic perspectives, certain research pieces. So there are things that
Yeah.
goes into it, but that's the ideal ticket size that we like to operate on, right? Which we feel is value driven, because you have to have your people costs, your operational costs, your profits, and what you're building towards. So I think
Right.
everything has to be accounted for.
There are scenarios when clients don't pay at all in an agency business.
Yeah, like by at all you mean work is done and the money has not come?
Yeah, work is done, the money has not come. Have you come across a scenario like this in the
Yeah,
past?
of course.
So
In fact,
what actions did you take against these clients?
no, again, coming back to tangible action points, I think as important it is to set up a people and office culture, I think it is equally important to have your finance and legal team right. Right? A lot of times, agency entrepreneurs, like if I were to think of myself 5, 7 or 10 years back, I would have told कि यार धंधा आने दो बाकी सब देखा जाएगा, right? I don't think that's the best way to run an organization. Maybe the best way to run a small agency, but not an organization. So it is very, very, very important to have the legal processes in place. It is very important to have financial structures in place and finance team in place, right? Speaking of this, in terms of bad debts, we, in fact, about in 2016 as well, we started our Bollywood journey. The larger Bollywood journey started in 2019. 2016, I remember July and August के बीच में we marketed 4 movies. We were very happy. We thought we arrived in Bollywood and all of that. End of these 4 movies, we realized none of them paid. And like, my God, what's happening in our lives? And we went back to the drawing board. We took 2 years to figure the right conversations, to figure the right connections, to figure the right set of partners to work with. We're blessed to have the right partners in the media and entertainment ecosystem. Within the media and entertainment ecosystem, in the last 4 years, the total amount of bad debts we've had is 0. Overall, in the scheme of White Rivers, what we've done, and in fact, a lot of things changed post-COVID. Post-COVID, in our books, of the total business we would have done, as we speak today, the bad debts we have is 0.2%. That's it. Which also we believe would be recovered to a great extent in the next few months.
I think,
right? So we've kind of put in the right processes to make sure that processes in terms of legal, finance, servicing, feedback, follow-ups, and quality checks. All of these, the right mix of all of these, to ensure that we have a healthy financial working relationship with our client.
So I think we've taken sort of all the steps. But if the question also entails that should an entrepreneur, what is the last ditch effort?
Absolutely.
Right? The last ditch effort, you should not be afraid of going legal if the need be.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
See, if it is a rightfully owned sum, right, and the other side of the table is capable of paying, right? If those two factors are there, one is we've also let some amounts been outstanding when our relationship is such with the clients that we understand that you're going through certain times that you can't. If we can hold, we'll hold, right? But that's a very relationship-driven thing, right? But at the last ditch effort, if that's the question also aims across to, then you should be able to look at legal options also when the need be.
Yeah.
If it's a rightfully owned money, then it's a rightfully owned money.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there is MSME, again, action point for entrepreneurs who are not registered with MSME or have not taken cognizance of the power of an MSME forum. One should look up blogs. There are multiple of them available.
I'm sure if you comment MSME, Sorav and team would send you across the details around it also.
Awesome.
So I think the power of MSME courts is also great.
So MSME is technically the government's methodology to protect, certain kind of size of enterprises against bad debts.
Yeah. Not just bad debts, overall to help them become financially more stable. Bad debts protection is a part of it, and their courts are decently punctual. And we've seen, we've gone on the other side where cases have been, end result have come in and people have complied to the orders of, like, and bad debts clients have kind of complied to the orders of MSME. So we must encourage entrepreneurs to kind of get themselves abreast with everything in MSME.
Nice. Tech integrations inside WRM, metaverse, NFTs, AI, CGI. Are we there already?
Yeah. So two things. I'll answer the last two first. CGI, yes. Of course, we've been seeing a lot of trends. In fact, a couple of our campaigns got very, very viral. Got spoken about across LinkedIn and multiple other forums. One we did for Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
We kind of put a Kung Fu Panda on the bus. I believe, I was talking to Mitesh and we realized the campaign is successful when a lot of non-marketing folks, when Mitesh shared it on his Instagram page, a lot of non-marketing folks started talking to him about it. One person called up Mitesh and asked, so what we'd done was, the campaign was for promoting the movie Kung Fu Panda. We literally put a Kung Fu Panda on the BST bus and you can...
A very huge oversized panda on a BST bus out here. So your bus looks like this and the panda looks like this.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And we realized the campaign is successful when this guy called up Mitesh and said, so basically this panda was going through Gateway of India, I think CST station,
somewhere in Mumbai.
And this guy called up concerned. He's like, bhai, you are getting this panda across CST station. There's JJ bridge coming in, panda ko sir pe lagega. And like...
So someone took the content saying this is not CGI, this is an activation that you've done, and how would this bus and the panda cross below that bridge?
Yeah. And when CGI feels real, I think that is the success of a CGI campaign. Like CGI should not look like a fake computer generated campaign, right? So that is one campaign which we saw. And of course, what we did over the last couple of months is we got a lot more people within our teams, right? People who've done 3D animation and other things to start doing some micro courses on how to make better CGI outputs, right? And now we have like an army of people who can churn out a lot of CGI content, right? Speaking of AI, I think we should practice what we preach. And to begin with, I have picked up a course. I am doing a 6-month course in understanding the power of AI.
Yeah.
I'm spending a lot of time over my weekends to learn power of AI, learn things which are possible with artificial intelligence. So yeah, that is something I'm personally doing. It's been I'm on the 6th month of the course.
Yeah.
Mitesh?
I think to answer your question, and this ties back to the one of the older questions. Why do you need a partner?
Yeah.
Right? So one of the things that we've been able to do amongst ourselves is that possibly part of my role is to keep an eye on what is new, what is happening, right? So I was able to appraise Shrenik about AI or the changes much before when this conversation kind of became mainstream, which it is today, right? So, for example, we use a tool called Runway, right? We've actually done it for one of our video content. We regularly now use it in our video pieces, right? I think we got across Runway, which is now something that people talk about. I believe we've had an access to Runway for last 3 years, right? So if you're talking about Runway AI and ML and everything, we've been on it for 3 years, right? We've been trying to understand what can we do of it and how can we use it and things like that. So again, I think someone in the lead team, someone at the top of the organization has to take up the mantle of knowing that what is something that is new could become big, right? And how do you prepare the organization to kind of make sure that you are able to ride that wave? So whether it was Metaverse, where we had a partnership with an organization that Mark Zuckerberg quoted in his F5 note, whether it is crypto, where we had some of the best crypto exchanges in the country as our clients and we were able to deliver for them, whether it's AI, where we are actually pushing the whole organization to kind of adapt AI and already done video content shoots, other things through the AI tools, or whether it is CGI, which I believe is the current flavor of the season at this point of time, where we've done campaigns that are noticed. I think it's a job. Honestly, as an advertising agency, it's your job. You got to understand what's new, what's going to be impactful, and see how it could be delivered through.
Fantastic. So which are the some of the top AI tools that comes on top of your mind that we have been using?
I think, see, the most obvious ones would be your Runway, Midjourney, ChatGPT, Pika, for that matter. Pika is something very interesting. We love Pika at this point of time, experimenting a lot. We've obviously done Hemingways of the world and other copy AIs and things like that. We also use Read AI.
Read.ai is my favorite tool for meetings. I think it summarizes everything spoken about in a meeting so beautifully, right? So that is one tool I recommend entrepreneurs to download. And again, I was talking to Rishi earlier. I am a fan of, and I love to call it traditional ChatGPT, right? The OG ChatGPT. I think I love it. While of course it has progressed in terms of the power of ChatGPT, but I think the core basic solutions which it can give are priceless, right? So it's of course one of my top bookmarks, most visited bookmarks these days.
Super. So in your team, when you identify the second in line leaders, what are some of the top 3 qualities that you look at?
That's a very interesting question, Sorav, and Shrenik and I will have different viewpoints to it. I think I was meeting one of my mentors other day. He brought out a very interesting point. At that level, if you have someone who's in that position only for money, you don't need that person, right? At that level, the person has to be driven by anything beyond money, right? Money is going to be part of that position any which ways. That cannot be a driving factor. Is that person also ready to share the vision with you? Believe in your vision, ready to put the hard work to take it somewhere, ready to accept the chaos and say, I'm going to be a co-builder with you and I'm going to kind of scale it up with you, right? That he or she has to have the same belief system, not the same. They don't need to agree to everything that we both would say, but the belief system towards WRM has to be the same. I think that has been a very key onus. And then there is a very softer side which Shrenik and I have always believed in, which is our vibe or our understanding of the person should be that that person is a nice person. If their heart is in the right place, a lot of things we feel are solvable or buildable, but the heart has to be in the nice place. But that's a very intuition-driven approach. But you know, you have to have that. You have to have the intuition behind your hiring decisions, especially on the tier 2 level.
I think 3 things for me would be: the person needs to be street smart, the person needs to be honest, the person needs to be passionate. Street smart because only hard work will not let you grow in digital. Digital is super fast. You need to be growth hacker at heart. If you're not a growth hacker, I don't think you would be welcome at the leadership team at Whiteovers or across any teams. Even an intern has to be a growth hacker in Whiteovers, right? You got to be genuinely passionate about something in life. It could be digital, it could be music, it could be comedy, it could be arts, it could be acting, it could be anything. But you got to be passionate, right? And third, very, very important is you got to be honest at heart. Honesty and ethics is the centerpiece of everything which drives, right? Drives things at Whiteovers, right? So we are a genuinely honest organization at heart, right? So if these 3 things are there, I think the person would enjoy working with us.
As an agency, what's our approach? Performance marketing first or creative media management?
I think we're creative first. However, our approach has always been integrated.
Right.
We actually come from a space where we feel we have the full line of solution. And that should be the case when you're a 450, 500, 550 people team, right? Your ability to deliver on multiple touch points with a certain level of expertise is what is expected out of you. So I think our approach has always been that, not that all of the solution sets were always there. We built them as we grew, right? Like, I'm sure we're going to build the next solution sets as we grow. Like today, if you ask me, Mitesh, can we get WRM to come as the AI, MarTech, automation, digital transformation partner. You can't do that today. I'm also learning that in a certain manner. But speak to me after 3 months. I'm sure we'll have those solutions for you. And within a year, we'll also ramp up those solutions where we would be able to deploy them at a larger scale, right? Like we'll have first few clients with whom we'll learn, we'll build those solutions. And then beyond a point, we'll be able to deploy them onto the multiple clients that we have. So I think that's the approach to WRM.
Yeah.
I think also this very interesting question from post to reels, right? In your deliverables, what's the ratio of the number of posts and the number of reels? Because that's a major demand in the market. Now what's that? 50-50?
This was post, this was reels, it's going like this now. I think it's a very simple thing because our complete data analysis point out in a way that people are not on the social media to see your brand's message. If they're not there, they're there to be curing their micro boredom. Now, if your content is not curing that micro boredom or adding value into their lives, it's not valuable. So for the content to be valuable, essentially at the end of the day, you'll have to make it infotainment at least. And hence you will see that the reels have to rise. So I think we started seeing skewing ratio, but most interestingly, more importantly than that, when we created WRM Studios, which is our production arm, right? We've also created a super specialized service which is taking up the mandate and doing actually only the reel-based content for our clients.
Right.
So very recently for one of the clients, we delivered 150 reels together. This is into BFSI space. Before that, we took up a 3-month project to deliver 1,000 odd reel content for an entertainment client. We have our regular clients where our reel mandate is completely separate, where we are doing the storytelling through that format. So I think it's very clear the growth of where the reel space is going.
You mean to say now that you're hiring more candidates who are reel savvy, knows how to make content from reels per se. So that's what you're looking forward to see in a candidate.
I would love to take this space to do our hiring recruitment ad, right? And say that if you are someone who's savvy with your mobile phones, with your video skills, and you're able to create that reel-based content, I think we always have space for you guys. That's
Fantastic.
The reality.
Super. So that brings to some interesting questions in terms of, so when you're hiring a digital marketer, what are some of the key skills that you look at?
Right. These are different kind of skills, right? We spoke a lot about digital scholar, the kind of things you are imparting when it comes to education. Those are very important, right? So either we, on the starting level, either we get someone who has no experience and no digital scholar experience, let's say that, right? So the learning curve is always going to be higher. We'll be teaching about the industry, we'll be teaching about the nuances, we'll be teaching about soft skills, hard skills and things like that.
Right.
But if I expect somebody to come from, let's say someone like digital scholar, right? My expectation is that this person understands at least what the advertising digital domain is, right? That's the base understanding I need you to have that requirement. You understand the key terminologies that are used, at least the basic level of terminologies that are used, right? You understand that these are the different departments across, right? You understand that this is the delivery, what the delivery looks like, right? Ideal delivery ecosystem, right? And then you also understand that, oh, this is the hierarchy, this is the ecosystem, this is what my role is. So every time my expectation from, let's say if I have someone from a digital scholar, is that not just that they understand social, SEO, web or performance marketing in a certain space. I think the best part that you guys have been doing is that those candidates have been ready for the industry in reality, for an agency life. And I think if that's something that we are able to find, we're very happy when that happens.
Super. That's nice. So Srini, here's a question for you. Have you ever come across a very interesting, Mitesh, even you can answer this. Have you ever come across a very interesting application which was out of the box, which made you hire that person instantly?
Yeah, I'll talk about a funny application. There's this guy who was trying to work with White Rivers. He applied, but at that point we didn't have vacancies. Then he wrote to me on LinkedIn. I said that, we'll get back whenever there is a vacancy. And of course, we put him in the wait list. this guy made a custom resume, right? Basis every single thing he saw on the website, basis my last 10 Instagram posts, personal Instagram posts, curated a new resume and sent it to my wife on her DM on Instagram. कि भाई अभी तो hire कर लो. So for me, that is going to be the most fun resume I've ever seen. Right?
So now the wife is recommending the candidate. Did you hire the candidate?
Bye. Do I have an option?
So now you know how to get hired.
See, CEO also has a CEO, right? So if
Yeah.
you reach the main CEO, then you're good to go.
So now you know how to
Yeah.
get hired in White Rivers Media.
No.
I'm sure people are going to search for your wife's Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is from now, just to figure out how to send their resume to you. But what's very interesting here is the guy took the effort to
Yeah,
understand.
that is actually the
sometimes
crux.
when I interview people and when I see the amount of research that they have done about my
Correct.
business, I think that's just the winning point for me.
Absolutely.
There's nothing more that I want to know
Absolutely.
because if the person has taken the effort to understand my business,
Yeah.
I think, and there was a girl I interviewed once and she came to me and she said, these are some 6 mistakes on your website that I found.
Beautiful.
Wow.
And I think you need to
Wow.
rectify it.
Hire
Wow.
that
I think
person then.
within 2 minutes, I just
Wow.
hired her.
Absolutely.
Because I think even my proofreading team
Team
could
has
not
not seen
able to figure that out.
Wow.
And she was hired within 2 minutes. She worked with me for 4 years
Nice.
and she was
Nice.
really a great candidate out there.
No, and I believe, yeah, we're in 2024 now. Research is very, very, very important. Boss, especially for roles which demand you to do research as your KRA. If you don't do research before applying for your job, it is like one example would be a business development guy, right? Or a business growth specialist, right? If you're interviewing this candidate and if he doesn't know about White Rivers, boss, this interview, right, is his business development for his career, right?
Right.
He should have done research about it, right? So I think research is a very, very important thing. And again, going back to the same 2-3 things which I mentioned, right? You need to be a growth hacker, passionate, honest, etc., etc. So
Perfect. I'm going to ask you last 2 questions because I think it's been very in-depth conversations that we've had. We've been talking a lot since morning about Gen Z and the amount of research that you guys have been doing on that aspect. So when a marketer has to communicate or a CXO has to communicate with Gen Z, what are some of the key 3 factors that you think they need to take into consideration?
Fair enough.
sure. So I think, and I think sort of we had this conversation sometime back. I would love to bring it again. I think two new things which marketeers and people are overall exposed to over the last couple of years. One is the importance of Gen Z. Second is the importance of artificial intelligence tools, right? Say ChatGPT, for instance. What I would rather do right now is give you a difference in how do you communicate with a ChatGPT versus how do you communicate with a Gen Z. In my mind, I think it's the way to communicate with both is completely other ends of spectrum. Example, if you're talking to a ChatGPT, you got to dumb it down, right? You got to put in as much explanation as possible, as many keywords as possible.
To get the best result.
To get the best results, of course. If you're talking to a Gen Z, you got to smart it up, right? You got to dumb it down for ChatGPT, you got to smart it up for Gen Z, right? If you're talking to a ChatGPT, do not use jargons, right? You simplify things. When you're talking to a Gen Z, you got to use jargons, you got to use their lingo, you got to connect with them, right? When you're talking to ChatGPT, you got to keep it as long as possible, right? Because that ensures or that assures
more
or
context.
better, that gives more context to ChatGPT, right? But when you're talking to Gen Z, keep it short, right? So I think these 3
Nice.
3 points on each side, just showcases how 2 new things which came into our lives over the last 2 years need complete different type of communication.
Beautiful.
Now you know Shenik's shower thoughts. Right?
Yeah, nice.
So
What, Shenix?
Shenik's shower thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think very interesting question. Like he said, so I told you we founded Capital Z, which is the Gen Z research arm. We increasingly felt that 2 things are happening. One is in the boardroom conversations where we are, every CXO wants to understand and connect and reach to Gen Z. But there is a question mark that how, because that age difference and the understanding difference is real, right? And the second thing is happening is the rise of this generation's spending capacity. Today, Gen Zs are someone who are even in their 26, 27, 28s, essentially. So they've already passed the first job for that matter, right? So the spending capacity is out there. It's a very big cohort of your buying janta, essentially, right? But this audience talks or thinks or has been growing up in a different fashion, which is not good or bad. It's just different for that matter, right? So we felt that there is a gap. And when you look at current solutions, current data, it's all international Gen Z data. There is no Indian Gen Z data that was available. There was like, basic stuff when we went out to kind of create it. It was all basic stuff. So I think today where we are is we've kind of built that up. We've built up a think tank practice that actually works with certain brands, helps them understand, define the Gen Z strategy. So as Shrenik said, connect with them, understand their behavior, understand their ethics, understand what they want, actually the personalization that they require, and then tailor make brands certain solutions and services in that manner. That is something I believe is extremely important.
So, the last question. What's the best advice you've ever received as a leader?
I remember there was a point. So, we have a mentor. We keep going to him for advice. He used to be a person I used to report to before I started Whitehouse. His name is Mr. G.R. Venkatesh. He's been doing some great things in his career right now. He's leading HR practice at one of the largest retailers in the country right now. And probably they are the largest workforce in the country today. There was a point in time about a few years back, 6-7 years maybe, we were disgruntled, Mitesh and me. We were like, yeah, there's so much time which we are putting in terms of people management. And we are unable to focus on growing business, right? So we went to him and we were like, sir, this is a problem we are facing. Please give us a solution. He made us sit down and he's like, boss, this is a problem which every single leader in the country is facing. Every single entrepreneur in the country is facing. Every single entrepreneur in the world is facing, right? People is business. You sort your people right, they will take care of your business, right? We have heard this advice so many times in movies, in real life, various points. But when that person, someone both of us look up to, said this point, I think we've kind of registered that point for life. Okay, boss, this people management is something we need to do it right.
Super, beautiful.
I think advice, so many advices going through my head, but something that has always, I think, driven Shrenik and me came from an extremely successful client who kind of founded his business and made it into a multi-million-dollar enterprise, was think about an organizational level value creation, right? Don't think for yourself, right? You think for your family, which is your business family. Think about how everybody can create value and progress. Because when you take every decision from that thought process, right, then everyone will take care of each other and together you're going to grow, right? So I think in our every day-to-day decision making, sometimes we forget the decision is not supposed to be about me. It is supposed to be about us, right? I think when you keep your focus onto that, people realize, people see the reality. Like the biggest compliment, I believe, at WRM is always been when you welcome back people who at some point of time went and saw other opportunities, explored them, and then said that, hey, we want to come back, right? So when you do things in a certain fashion and people get to see that, they realize that this is true. And I want to be around this energy, I want to be around this thought process. And I think that's the most beautiful thing that can happen.
Super. Thank you. I think there's a lot of key takeaways from today's session. So do let me know if you're watching this, what's been your biggest takeaway from today's learning. Do share that in the comments below. And if you comment those words that we asked you to, I will send you the links right there. So thank you so much,
Thank you, sir.
Shrenik
It's been a
and
pleasure.
Mitesh. It's been a pleasure knowing you guys for years. And today's insight was of a great value to me personally as an entrepreneur, as an agency owner, and for many of them who are going to hear this out today.
Thank you so much.
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. Thank you
Perfect.
very much.
I'm sure you learned a lot as much as I did as an agency owner. Please do share your biggest takeaway from today's session in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as do connect with me on Instagram and DM me and tell me who would you like to see next on my podcast. See you there.